very enmeshed with the magazine, and they've got it just, and it's growing. It's just growing so much all the time. It's very cool.
Yeah, I've looked at it. There's a lot of good information in there, and some of the, yeah, I agree. Some, a lot of the artists and guitarists that you're covering, absolutely
Yeah.
superb. And I think from what you're saying, I'm trying to do a very similar thing at FX Pedal Planet, and that is trying to support and create awareness for the smaller independent effects builders. So, we know about the likes of JHS and Jim Dunlop and people like that. But there's some fantastic up and coming builders out there, particularly that have sprung up this year during lockdown, because people have got a bit of time, so that then start trying to build pedals and everything. So, that's what we're trying to do ourselves. So, I mean, on to effects. I mean, it sounds like you're pretty well into gear and pedals and sounds and picks and everything else. Do you use many effects in your playing?
I really don't. Because right now, like, my head is I use a JCM 800, and I mean it just sounds so good. It really doesn't need a whole lot more, but I do use, a couple pedals. I use some stuff from Electro Harmonics. Just like it's called the tone corset. It just kind of tightens up your tone. Or I have like a mini pog that I use as well to get like this octave sound on some of the BAST songs. But and I use a carbon copy delay. So I don't get too crazy, because I like to kind of keep the tone. But I mean, I recently got one of the head rush pedals, and like, digital is really cool, and digital's come a long way, but it's not quite the same as these analog pedals. And and I just like analog stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same, and the majority of people I talk to, I think are pretty much the same. There's just something about when you a valve amplifier, when you turn it up. It's not just the sound; it's the feel you get, and the it's a very strange thing to actually describe. But when you've got that a valve amp driving, it's just a fantastic experience. And I think we're coming a very long way with technology, a lot of the digital amp modeling and stuff. And I recently bought the Boss was a tube amp expander, and it's very good, but it doesn't replace analog valves and things.
There's something different about the way the strings resonate and the way the guitar feels when you're playing through a tube amp than playing through like a digital. It just doesn't, I just can't, like you're saying, it's kind of really hard to describe. But I mean, the thing about the Marshall is, like, it's a 100-watt amp, the one I have. And so it's like, I'm like, I only use it for like the big shows, but I actually have a Dark Terror, an orange Dark Terror that I use for, and it's still, a little tube lunchbox kind of amp. But there's just something about the way the strings react to me when I'm playing through like a tube amp. They've just got so much more depth to it, and depth to the sound. And to me, like, I have a problem. If my tone doesn't sound well, I don't get inspired, and I do not play as well. I do not play as well at all if my tone is suffering. Like, sometimes you go to shows or you sit in with somebody's band, you plug up to their stuff, and it's not like the tone that you would have, but you don't want to be rude and, like, adjust too many knobs. So you're just like, I'm just going to roll with this. And you're like, ooh, you just don't feel inspired. And that's the problem for me.
It is a personal thing. And once you've got a sound that's you like and you connect with, I think it's that connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
And once you get that connection, like say, it inspires you. I think one of the best amps I played was a little Cornford Hurricane 18-watt amp, and it was beautiful. Just the compression and everything on it was just sublime. One day I'll own one, hopefully. That's my aim anyway. So you're playing Marshall amps at the minute, is that right?
Well, it's funny because I depending on the size of the gig, I have different rigs. So my Marshall JCM 800 with an orange 212 is like my main big rig. And then I've been playing in this blues band lately here in Atlanta, and I've been playing a Fender Deluxe Reverb. And like it's funny, last gig I was at, like what tube like exploded. I have to get it like retubed and stuff. So I'm like, oh, but I mean, it's one of the 65 reissues. I think I got it in like 2005 when it came out. And so like that's been like my workhorse normal kind of amp. And like I'll use like if I take that to a show, I'll have like my Ibanez, like I've got one of the older tube screamers. So I get a little bit of grit from that. But like I don't use, really honestly, like too many pedals. Cause I mean, I'm not like the Edge, who's got like, 4 pedal things surrounded by you. But I do think that now that I've had the head rush and there's like all these different sounds and phasers, it kind of does inspire you to write different kind of music if you've got like these different tones. I like a lot of modern bands like Big Thief and all these ones, and they have these very airy guitar sounds, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. Like I want to have, and I'll like, come to a patch like that, and I'm like, start playing some weird, like, out there stuff. I'm like, that sounds so cool. So I can see myself kind of exploring that more, and I think it's going to open up my compositions,
Yeah, I think when you start, it is very much a rabbit hole. As a lot of people, I started on the rabbit hole about 2 years ago, and it just escalates.
You just go down. Yeah.
It
I
just
can see that.
escalates. But there's so much effects out there now, and I mean even overdrive effects. The amount of overdrive effects that are on the market is just phenomenal. But I find it personally, I find it very interesting, not just the sounds and everything, but actually looking up and researching the builders, how they're built, the actual, and getting to know the people that actually building them as well. It's it can get a bit geeky and nerdy, but I find it quite fun. So
yeah, I had a guy build a pedal for me. He I think his company's called like Kurtikau, and he's from Belarus. And he has this one pedal, and what the cool part is it has little interchangeable chips, so that the chips are for like every, like one of them is like Ibanez Tube Screamer, then you have like your Boss pedal or your DoD pedal, and you can kind of swap them out. And I mean, he designed it with like my own little logo on it, and it's got this red light that shines out. I mean, it is like the coolest pedal. And a friend of mine here in Atlanta, he turned me on to this guy. He goes, oh no, you got to get this guy to build you an amp. And so like, I got on Facebook Messenger, like, hey, build me a pedal? And he's like, okay, which one do you want? And, upload a design, because I have like a guitar tattoo on my arm, and it's kind of been like my little logo. So I sent him a picture of it, and he put it on a pedal and in the lights. And I'm like, this is like the most, and it sounds so good. I'm like, and that's what you're talking about. Like all these people who are building. I mean, there's so many other options. And what I've been getting into as well is guitar builders. I mean, there's your major manufacturers, and you've got all this, but there's a lot of people out there making some really bad ass guitars. And I'm just like, okay, so like now I'm like, okay, new world coming at me, because being left-handed, I'm pretty limited into to what kind of guitars I can get. Like, behind me, I got like my Fender Strat. But I mean, yeah, that, and I mean, I currently am playing a lot of, I mean, Fender's been doing the EVH guitars. So I have an EVH standard and an EVH striped series. But I mean, you don't have as many options. Like, you're like, oh, that guitar is left-handed. It comes in white or black. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, right-handed, it'll come in 16 different colors, so I feel like, oh man, I'm so limited. So my guitar luthier guy here is like, why don't you just have somebody build you something? And I was like, what? Like, oh yeah, that's an option. So I'm kind of looking into it. And it's funny, I was just reading this article about how the Telecaster is like the perfect shape for a guitar. Like people are like, it is like the perfect kind of thing. And before I was like, I don't know about that. But now that I've been doing research, I mean, Prince played a Telecaster. So I'm like, they must know something I don't. And so like now I'm all like kind of hot and heavy to like get a custom made Telecaster type guitar. So hopefully soon I'll, get that going, but that's going to be fun. And you can have it any way you want it. They're like, say what kind of fretboard you want, what kind of neck shape you want, what kind of pickups you want in it. I'm like, this is just amazing. So I'm actually pretty excited.
I wholeheartedly recommend it. I had that one built for me in 2016. I'll give the guy a shout out. His name's Rob Williams in the UK. And he's
Well, he used to work for Gibson and Fender in the 80s, and then in the 90s,
Wow.
he was technical director for Patrick Eggle. But he
Mhm.
makes his own stuff now. And it was about 2003 that I saw some reviews of Rob Williams, and getting really good reviews. And I thought one day, definitely I'm going to have a guitar built by Rob Williams. And yeah, 2016, I took the plunge, and I don't regret it at all. It's wonderful. You know, he was the care and attention that he took to, I mean, I specified everything from the pickups to the neck, the board, everything, you know, and you can just have it. But the thing is, when he handed me the guitar and he plugged it into an amp for me and I played it for the first time, I remember I unplugged it from the amp and I thought, I want to hear it acoustically. And it just vibrates. And the connection between the neck and the body is absolutely solid as a rock.
Wow.
So you're getting a real good resonance and sustain and everything. So I wholeheartedly recommend it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of starting now my research on like who's building what, and like, you know, there's a lot of local builders. I mean, there's a lot of builders here in the States. And I mean, the thing with the internet now is, you know, you're not limited to staying in the States. You can have somebody from anywhere in the world build it, and it's just like mind blown. Like I feel like, you know, I don't even know where to start my research, but this is kind of where I am. Like, you know, during this pandemic, you know, you get online, you're like, let me Google this and like Google that. And then I'm like, oh man, like there's just this whole world of like, you know, custom guitar and like get anything that you want. I mean, that's just like, as for a left-handed player, that's just like being like a kid in a candy store. You know, you're like, oh, I can get any neck style, any type of material, fingerboard, any type of pickup. And it's funny, during this pandemic, I took an online class. I took the Steve Vai Berkley class. And Steve Vai kind of devised the lesson plans. And then luckily for us, like on one of our classes, we had like a 2.5 hour Zoom with Steve Vai himself, which was just, I mean, so cool. But I mean, what a challenging class. But the good thing about the class was each homework, it was like a choose your own adventure, you know, like you had, it was for like any style of guitars. Cause like you have like a song that you're working on and you can do homework assignment A, which was kind of like challenging, but not like, you know, crazy. Then you had like an intermediate homework assignment and then like a really advanced. So I'm like, man, you could take that class 3 different times and do every week, do a different homework. And still, I mean, I grew a lot as a guitar player taking that class because I had never really used like a Floyd Rose or a whammy bar. And some of the techniques that, you know, Steve Vai incorporates into his playing, I'm just like, what? Like, you know, you're watching a video of him playing, you're like, what is he doing there? Like, that's crazy. Like, I've never seen that before. And then, you know, you're home trying to like do it and you're like, this is just nuts. So it's kind of really opened up my wheelhouse for, you know, for cool things to play. And that was, I mean, honestly, one of the best things I've ever done. What a fun class. It was like a 12-week class. And I mean, I learned so much. And, you know, every week you record your little video homework and, you know, submit it and stuff, and met a lot of other great, cool guitar players from all around the world, you know. So it was mind blowing. And then just talking to Steve Vai, I mean, like he's so, I'm really into now totally as well, like the psychology and philosophy behind guitar playing. Cause I feel like I've played and had like the technical aspect of guitar for so long, but now I feel like I'm getting into more of the spiritual, emotional connection with music. More so, I mean, it's probably the pandemic and being stuck at home and, you know, reading all these books, but it's just really, to me, that's kind of what I'm really exploring these days.
So do you like Santana? Because he's kind of into that whole thing, isn't he?
Yes. And it's funny because he has a master class on that there's like that website that I think it's called Master Class, where you can pay for like a year subscription and take like, you know, these pre-recorded guitar lessons with, I think they have like Santana and a couple other guitar players, but it's just like, yeah, I dig that about Santana, man. Wow. Yeah. I mean, being Hispanic too, it's like, he's my boy. Yeah. You know, I like it.
and the thing is, I mean, he's a great rock guitarist, but mixing it with that sort of Latino sort of rhythms and everything, it just turns it on. It just puts a whole new perspective on it, doesn't it? It's,
yes.
you know,
yeah, I mean, it's great. And I read a lot, and I was reading about how, you know, he really kind of had a resurgence when he teamed up with the singer for that. Oh, they had, you know, I, I lack people's names at the time, but they had that song like in the 90s that they, you know, he's the
Rob Thomas.
Rob Thomas
Good.
sang, and he kind of had this resurgence of popularity. But I mean, like, he was always badass. So it's
Oh
like, you
yeah.
know, and I mean, he's one of the only players that I haven't seen live that I really want to see, because I've been trying to, like, anytime somebody comes through Atlanta, like I went to go see this, you know, last year before the pandemic, like Yngwie Malmsteen came through. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go see Yngwie. Great show. I mean, that guy is a showman. And people can say what they want. They, you know, some people don't care for, you know, 80s, you know, shreddy kind of guitar. But I mean, you know, he's really good at what he does. And I mean, I've seen Slash a bunch of times. Slash, one of my favorites. And you know, Eric Johnson came through town. I'm just trying to catch everybody who comes through town these days, because you just never know, you know, how long people are going to be around, you know, and just like, let me see him when I can. But Santana's definitely on my wish list. I would love to kind of check out his show here in town sometime.
I was very fortunate to see BB King back in, I think it was
Oh yeah.
2002. He came to
Wow.
Leicester, of all places. And yeah, I've still got his memorabilia and stuff there. And but yeah, I've seen BB live. And I mean, you mentioned about the whammy bar and stuff like that. I get the same sort of when I hear Jeff Beck use the whammy bar. I'm like, how does he do that?
Well, that's like with studying with Jennifer Batten, because she's you know, played with Jeff Beck, and she's has a huge respect for Jeff Beck. And so like in some of our lessons that I've been doing with Jennifer, she'll send me some audio clips of Jeff Beck. And I remember specifically there's this one song where he hits like an artificial harmonic and plays a whole melody with that harmonic on the, I'm like,
How?
what? Like, yeah. And so it's funny because in Steve Vai class, we had he has a part in a song where he was talking about Jeff Beck, and he's like heard that, and he's like, oh my God, let me try to do that. And he does this artificial harmonic melody, and I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to do this. I'm like, let me tell you what, it's like, you know, when you're practicing, it sounds like an elephant dying until you can kind of really kind of dive into those, get that, you know, accuracy. But man, I mean, who does that? I mean, it's crazy, but it's just so cool. So cool.
I mean, he pulls it with his two little finger, and that fingers it. He does a lot of pulling, and it's just he just does things with the whammy bar that I've not seen other players do.
Unbelievable. And like, so in listening to Jennifer's playing, like her whammy bar, has kind of gotten a style now where she uses it where it sounds like a slide. It is just so cool. You know, she's like, I was never a really good slide player, so I learned how to do it with the whammy bar. And I'm like, she played some stuff, and I'm like, that's crazy. It sounds so good. It sounds like, you know, because she's doing, I think she was like playing some like ZZ Top kind of stuff, and it was just incredible. Like, it sounded just like, I mean, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, and it's a tool. And, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, whammy bar. And she had the phrase, she's like, I prefer to call it an expression bar. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that doesn't sound as 80s when you're like, yeah, I know whammy bar. Because all I could do on them previously to my Steve Vai class was do dive bombs. Beep! And I'm like, there has to be more to this thing than just that. And so that was one of my biggest motivations to take this Steve Vai class. And you know, listen to Jeff Beck. I mean, that guy is just a master with that thing, and just the vibrato that he creates at the ends of these sustained notes. It's just so beautiful. It's like, you mean, you hear, I mean, you want to cry. It's just so great. And it's like, okay, I need to kind of, you know, try to learn a little bit of that. You know,
I'd heard a story, and I don't know how true it is, and I'm sure people in the group or whatever will be able to confirm or deny. But I mean, you mentioned about Jennifer Batten using the expression bar. I'm going to call it expression bar now, right?
Isn't that good? Isn't that good?
Yeah.
It is good. Yeah.
He would that she uses that for like kind of slide parts. I'd heard that Jeff Beck, I think when it was Blaze of Glory, that he recorded with Bon Jovi. And at the start of it, there's this slide guitar part, which what I thought was a slide guitar part.
I know exactly what part you're talking about. The down, 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 down. Yeah, that's not slide.
Apparently not. Apparently he turned up with a little combo, and he was doing it with a whammy bar. So it was one of those songs anyway. So, but yeah, he's phenomenal. I think
But
it's
it's funny because during the pandemic, like, you know, a lot of musicians have been doing like recording, like, uh, you know, somebody would send me a track, hey, record guitar, send it back. And we kind of doing these remote sessions. And so I was in the midst of this Steve Vai class. I'm like, you know what? They wanted a solo. I'm like, I'm going to use some of this whammy bar. Like, I'm just learning this stuff. And so when I sent it back to the woman doing it, she's like, did you play slide on that? I was like, oh yeah, like, no, it's whammy bar. I'm like, all right, I fooled her, you know, but I mean, not as much as like, you know, Jennifer or Jeff Beck would, but I mean, she's like, it sounds so smooth. It sounds like a slide. I'm like, it's whammy bar.
So do you play much slide then, or
No, not at all. I am horrible at slide. I mean, actually, I have one right here, and it's one of my things I'm just trying to work on. But it's just like, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I don't, you know, being in the South here, I probably have to go and have like, you know, go down south and sit in some of these, you know, blues
Yeah.
clubs and learn, you know, how to do some slide from people. But I love the sound. I just am really horrible at it, you know.
we need to learn some Sun House, don't we? And
Mm-hmm.
like that, and that's the, you know, brilliant slide players like that. And
I know.
another pioneering female guitarist was Sister Rosetta Tharpe, a wonderful guitarist. I mean, she was doing it all before Keith Richards and all the others, wasn't she? Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, she is
Playing a
amazing.
Gibson SG, and just again, just cutting edge, pioneering of what she was doing at the time. And you know, people like Robert Plant sing about Annette, well, you know, in certain songs, and they mention her and stuff like that. Phenomenal players. I love a lot of the guitarists from that sort of those earlier periods, from the sort of 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s. You know, some fantastic guitarists and musicians.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think now, for the last like couple months, I've been performing, you know, very small, limited, small club shows with this blues artist here in Atlanta. His name is Bill Sheffield, and he, you know, is an older guy, but his pedigree of blues. I mean, he was on tour with Big Mama Thornton. Stevie Ray Vaughan opened for him back in the day, and I mean, his stories are great, and he is a phenomenal slide player. You know, it's like when he's playing, you know, I'm, you know, playing rhythm, and I'm just like, what is he doing over there? Like, that is too cool. Like, and then I'm like, oh crap, I should be, you know, worried about what I'm doing, but I just get so like mesmerized by like what he's doing, because, and he's got this very interesting, I mean, I'm left-handed, so I'm quite going like this, but I mean, for him, it'd be, you know, he wears like the thumb picks and
Oh
the
yeah.
pink, and so he's got like this real country kind of, you know, real old kind of Southern like picking style. And I'm just so, you know, I mean, seriously, like when he plays, I'm just like, what is he doing over there? Like, that is just too cool. And I'm like, man, I gotta get some finger picks and try to do some stuff, because his style of playing, you don't really see, you know, in, you know, as in, you know, more modern players. You know, he's been, I mean, he's a great acoustic player, great electric player. And like he plays this custom made telly, and that's kind of what got me on this kind of custom made telly trip. And this thing sounds so good. And I'm just like, I'm just amazed and love listening to his stories, you know, his Big Mama Thornton stories. And you know, I'm a singer as well. I'm not as great, you know, I always feel self-conscious about singing, but, you know, I've been listening to a lot of Big Mama Thornton and a lot of these old, you know, Sister Rosetta. And it's like, you know, listening to these people and kind of trying to absorb this kind of music. And so it's kind of, you know, newer for me to be more into the blues, but I'm really digging it. Really digging it.
I've just written a note here. I mean, we're talking slide players. Joanna Connor, she's really doing it with the on. She is phenomenal. You know, I could watch her play slide all day long. It's a fantastic thing. What a guitarist! Great voice.
I mean, I mean, I wish I could, you know, play slide as well as, you know, some of these people. But, you know, back in when I was starting to kind of learn, I mean, you know, Derek Trucks was the man. I mean, I remember hearing, you know, him play slide and being like, it's crazy. It's just so beautiful. Like, you know, I just really love sound, and I really see the beauty in music, and it just really gets me like in the feels when you just, you know, these notes resonate and they ring out and they're singing, and it's just like, you know, you get so moved. I'm like, I want to learn how to do that. And then I try to do it and it just sounds like a hot mess. You know.
I haven't heard you play anything.
Well, I'm gonna keep working on it though. One of these days I'm gonna bust out some slide.
If you want to hear a hot mess, stick around for 10 minutes after and I'll crank that thing.
No way. I'm sure you're awesome.
Oh, and so what sort of music you listen to at the minute?
Well, I'm kind of going through my little blues phase, just kind of exploring, you know, I mean, there's so many musicians out there. It's so hard to kind of listen to everyone, but you know, I like a lot of modern stuff like Fantagram, and I mean, I listen to like the college satellite station, and those will have like new artists all the time, and I'll be like, oh my God, sounds so cool. So some of these artists are like, you know, I can't think of the guy's name now, but I heard his song and it's so good. And I remember finding him on Facebook, and he had like, you know, like 1,200 fans. And I messaged him and I was like, dude, I just heard your song and seriously blown away. And he wrote back like an hour, hey, thanks a lot. Like, I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. So there's, you know, so many people recording some really cool music, and I just try to, you know, and I go on Apple Music, and like every week Apple will come up with like a new playlist of new music for me and put these artists in front of me that I've never heard before. And like I'll go through, like I'll read tons of guitar magazines, and if it'll be somebody new and up and coming, I'll put on their CD like on while I'm reading their article, you know, on like the background music, and just kind of check them out. And I love, you know, exploring. Like I like Neely Broche, like she's just amazing too, and it's like she's just so awesome. She's also a Berkeley alumni, so you know, so I really dig her playing, and I think she's doing some new projects now too, so I'm excited to hear what she's going to be coming out with. But I mean, it's just so hard. Like I just love anything new, anything I can get my hands on, I try to listen to.
I'm following Nilly on social media and stuff, and just trying to catch up with what she's doing. But yeah, just phenomenal guitarist. And
I know,
just really exciting, you know, watching new artists like that you know, up and coming, and you know, wishing I could play like that.
Oh, I know, me too. I know. And you know, I've always dug Orianthi. I got to interview Orianthi for the magazine, and she was just so cool and just so down to earth. And you know, she's a heck of a guitar player too. So it's like I like anything, and she's a great singer. And so it's like anything that she kind of does, I follow, because I really dig her style. And you know,
and she's toured a lot with Santana as well, hasn't she? So
yeah,
done a lot of work with Santana. So lovely. Anyway, look, thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure talking to you. I can tell that we're very similar, and you like you say, you're a gearhead and you love music, and it is, isn't it? It's like when you find a piece of music and you want to find about the artist, and then you're Googling about the shows, and it just escalates, doesn't it? And you're trying to
go down a wormhole. Yeah.
It really can. So
but yeah, when I come to the UK, I'll definitely hit you up. That'll be pretty fun. Or maybe if we come to your part of town, we can hang out.
Yeah, please do. Well, the UK's pretty small. Where I'm sort of like located very centrally, so I can get pretty much all over the place. So yeah,
cool.
Let us know when and I'll get a contingency over, and we'll come and see you. Come see your show when you come and play in the UK.
Awesome. That sounds great. Well, thank you so much for having me, Steve.
Vanessa, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
See you again. Cheers.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.